Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into how AI is going to transform education marketing by 2025. We've got a ton of material here: marketing guides, blog posts, trend reports, even research on how students are choosing their schools. It's going to be fascinating.
Yeah, definitely exciting times. We'll break it all down so you can see exactly how AI is impacting both schools and students.
Okay, so one thing that keeps popping up is AI agents. In fact, Element 451 is calling 2025 the year of the AI agent for higher ed. What's the big deal here? What makes these different?
Well, I mean, we're all used to basic AI, like chatbots
Okay.
and the personalized emails, but AI agents are a whole other level. Think of an AI that can reason, adapt, even predict what a student needs before they even ask for help. That's new.
That sounds pretty incredible. Do you have like a real world example? How would that play out?
Let's see. Element 451, they've got this hypothetical AI agent called Corey. So imagine a student, we'll call him Alex. Alex starts missing deadlines, isn't as active online. Corey notices that. Corey also sees Alex missed a financial aid deadline, puts two and two together, flags the advisor that maybe Alex is having, financial or personal issues. Then Corey proactively recommends resources. That's just not possible with like a simple chatbot.
Yeah, that's a huge shift. And it seems like personalized student support is it's a major theme running through all these materials.
Definitely. We're seeing AI used for 247 chatbot support, creating those customized learning plans, even mapping out entire degree roadmaps. It can keep students on track, help them get early intervention if they're struggling. It can even connect them with mental health and career resources.
And this isn't just theory, right? There's a case study from Georgia State University. They used AI to fight summer melt. When students get accepted but don't actually enroll. Their AI system flagged at-risk students and then, reached out personally. And they saw a pretty big jump in enrollment.
And there's even hard data backing up the impact of AI on, like, student success. A Nectar study found that students who use AI course assistants actually saw their GPAs go up. So the results are there.
Wow, okay. So we're seeing AI for personalized support, for improving academic outcomes, but I feel like it goes even deeper than that, right? Like this data can help institutions make better decisions overall.
Exactly. Think about it. Now, schools can analyze massive amounts of data to predict enrollment numbers more accurately. That's huge for resource allocation and admission strategies.
I can see that being super valuable, but does it go beyond just admissions?
Oh, absolutely. Imagine being able to actually see how effective your academic programs are and pinpoint areas for improvement. Institutions can use AI to ensure their courses align with, like, student needs and what the job market demands. They can even compare themselves to other schools and see what's working best.
It's almost like AI is giving schools a crystal ball to predict the future and make smarter choices, across the board.
Yeah, in a way it is. And that leads us right into the marketing side of things.
Yeah.
How are schools using these tools to reach students in this new world? That's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, let's get into that. So the SEMA Marketing Guide talks about how institutions really need to step up their game. Students in 2025, they expect personalized experiences, right? And AI is how you deliver that. It's all about using data to get the right message to the right student at the right time.
Exactly. It's not about those generic messages anymore. It's about creating a truly personalized experience for every single potential student.
And it's not just about blasting out emails, is it? I'm seeing a lot about AI-powered search engines like Google Gemini and ChatGPT. What does that mean for, education marketing?
Well, it's a whole new ballgame, for sure. Students are using those AI tools more and more to find information. The AGM guide stresses that institutions need to optimize their content for those platforms. So focus on high-quality, question-based content that gives clear, concise answers. Also, be mindful of voice search, using natural language that reflects how people actually talk.
Makes sense. If students are asking these AI tools questions, schools need to make sure their content is, the top answer. But what about social media? It seems like that's still a big deal, especially for those younger generations.
Oh, absolutely. Platforms like TikTok are still incredibly influential. AI can help institutions refine their targeting and create content that, really resonates with those younger audiences.
Okay, this is getting pretty high tech, but before we go any further, I have a question. With all this AI and automation, is there a risk of losing that human touch in education?
That's a really important question.
Yeah.
And it's something we'll definitely dig into in the next part of our deep dive.
Welcome back to our deep dive, into AI and education marketing. We were just discussing how institutions are adopting these really powerful AI tools. It's pretty impressive.
It is. It is. But I think it's easy to get kind of caught up in all the tech. you know,
I know.
the bells and whistles. We got to remember that education is really about people, right?
Absolutely.
So let's shift gears and talk about the students themselves. Like, what are the big factors influencing their choices in this new AI-driven world?
Well, that's where EAB's research comes in. And it's got some really interesting findings.
Okay, I'm listening.
You might think that with all this tech, things like affordability wouldn't be such a big deal anymore, but that's not what they found.
Really?
Affordability is still a major concern for students, especially those from certain demographics. We're talking Pell Grant recipients, first-generation students, part-time learners. Cost is often the deciding factor, in whether they can pursue higher ed at all. Yeah, that makes sense. Education is a big investment, even with all the advances in technology. For a lot of students, it comes down to, can I afford this?
Exactly. But here's where it gets even more interesting. EAB also found that campus and environmental factors play a surprisingly big role in students' choices.
Oh, interesting. So we're not just talking about like nice dorms or a pretty campus.
Right. They're looking at things like how many student organizations are there, what's the local weather like, even the political climate and population growth in the surrounding area.
Wow, that's fascinating. I wouldn't have guessed those things would be so influential.
It seems that today's students are looking beyond just, academics. They're thinking about the whole experience, the social and cultural environment.
It's almost like they're making a lifestyle choice, not just an educational one.
Exactly. They're looking for a place where they can really thrive academically and personally. So institutions need to think about their appeal more broadly, showcase their academic strengths for sure, but also, the vibrancy of campus life, the opportunities for personal growth, even how attractive the surrounding community is.
It's about painting that full picture, right? Showing students this is a place where they can belong, build a future.
Exactly. So we've got affordability, campus life,
Hmm.
but we can't forget about the changing landscape of education itself. The Higher Education Marketing Institute pointed out a couple of trends that are worth digging into. The first is the rise of micro-credentials.
Ah, yes. Micro-credentials, those bite-sized alternatives to traditional degrees. It seems like they're getting more and more popular. What's the deal with those?
Well, micro-credentials are those shorter, more focused credentials. They show specific skills or knowledge. They're often online, and you can finish them much faster than a traditional degree.
So it's like getting a certification in a specific area instead of, committing to a four-year degree program.
Right. And this is becoming really appealing to a lot of students, especially those who are looking to, get a job quickly, or maybe they want to upskill in a specific area, but they don't have the time or the money for a full degree.
It's like the fast track to career advancement.
In a way, yeah.
Oh.
But it's important to mention there's this whole debate going on about the value of micro-credentials versus traditional degrees. Some people argue that micro-credentials are better aligned with, today's workforce needs. Others say that traditional degrees still carry more weight.
I'm sure that debate's going to continue. But it's definitely something to keep an eye on. What was the other emerging trend you mentioned?
Oh, right. The Higher Education Marketing Institute also highlighted virtual reality in education. VR.
Yeah, VR. It's been around, but it seems like we're finally seeing its potential in education, come to life.
VR can create these incredibly immersive learning experiences. And imagine going on a virtual field trip to ancient Rome or exploring the human body from the inside out. The possibilities are pretty amazing.
It does sound amazing. I imagine there are some challenges, though, right? Like cost, accessibility.
For sure. VR tech is still pretty expensive, and not everyone has access to the equipment they need. But as it becomes more affordable and more widespread, we'll probably see more schools using VR in their teaching.
Yeah, it's exciting to think about how VR could change learning, make it more engaging, more interactive, and accessible to students all over the world.
And this all ties back to the bigger picture. The educational landscape is changing so fast, and institutions are trying to adapt to, meet the needs of these students.
We've seen how they're using AI to personalize that support, improve decision-making, and create those more targeted marketing campaigns.
And we talked about those new learning models like micro-credentials and the potential of immersive tech like VR.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It is. So as we wrap up, what are some key takeaways you're hoping our listeners will remember from all this?
I think the most important thing is AI isn't just some futuristic concept. It's here. It's shaping education right now. And it has the power to make education more accessible, more effective, and more engaging for everyone.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've covered a lot in our exploration of AI and education marketing in 2025. From those AI agents acting like personal assistants to the surprising things influencing student choices, it seems like we're on the verge of like a huge change in education.
It's been quite a journey digging into all this with you. We've seen how schools are using AI, to personalize learning, make decisions based on data, and reach those potential students more effectively.
And we've also talked about the rise of new learning models, those micro-credentials, and the potential of immersive technologies like VR. It's a lot to process.
It is.
So as we wrap up our deep dive, what are some of the key takeaways you hope our listeners will walk away with?
Well, I'd say the biggest takeaway is that AI isn't just some, futuristic idea. It's real. It's happening now in education. And it really does have the potential to make education more accessible, more effective, and more engaging for everyone.
That's a powerful thought. But we also have to remember that AI is a tool, right?
Right.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or for not so good. So as we embrace these possibilities of AI, we need to be aware of the potential downsides too.
Exactly. We need to be sure AI is used ethically, responsibly, and fairly. That means focusing on transparency, fairness, and making sure humans are still in control. Making sure AI is helping people, not replacing them.
It's about finding that balance, using technology, but keeping that human element. That's so important in education. One thing that really stood out to me from the EAB research was that affordability is still a top concern for so many students.
Yeah, absolutely. AI can, personalize learning and give more support, but it can't solve the bigger problem of cost. It's going to take system-wide solutions, not just technology.
So looking ahead to the future of education, it's clear that AI is going to be a bigger and bigger part of it. But we have to remember that technology is only one piece of the puzzle, right?
Absolutely. We have to address those issues like affordability, make sure AI is being used ethically and responsibly, and cultivate that love of lifelong learning. Those are big challenges, but they're also exciting opportunities to create a better, more empowering education system for everybody.
Well said. This deep dive has given me a lot to think about, and I'm sure our listeners feel the same way. As we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
Okay.
We've talked about how AI can tailor education to individual needs, but we can't forget that diversity of thought, being exposed to different perspectives, that's crucial for intellectual growth.
Yeah, that's a good point.
As AI personalizes learning, we have to make sure it doesn't create these echo chambers where students only hear things that confirm their existing beliefs. Right?
That's important.
How do we balance personalization with, that need for exploration and exposure to different viewpoints? It's a question we all need to consider as AI becomes more and more a part of education.
Definitely. The future of education isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we create together. By having these thoughtful conversations, asking the tough questions, and being open to new ideas, we can use the power of AI to build a better future for learners everywhere.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the future of education and for sharing your insights with our listeners.
It's been my pleasure. Keep exploring these topics and have those important conversations about the role of AI in shaping the future of learning.
This is The Deep Dive, signing off.